Welcome everyone to this Glide training session. Today we are going to be talking about Glide for brokerages. It's going to take approximately 30 minutes of your time, so let's go ahead and get started. During today's training, we're going to be covering the Glide platform overview. We're going to tell you how you can set up your broker dashboard, how to adjust the different advanced user permissions, how to create transaction templates, and also how to create your clause manager. We are going to start today's training with just a general overview of Glide's platform. For those of you that don't know, Glide is an NAR Reach company, and we actually started before NAR Reach, which is NAR's incubator program. Before that, though, we entered the realm of real estate as consumers. We're based in San Francisco, California, and our co-founders who had bought a home and were given a large stack of papers to fill out, that was the initial driver for change. They recognized there has to be a better way to do this, and the goal was to modernize the transaction from the start all the way through the entire process. However, we could only do so much at once, so we decided to focus on something that people have been using us for the past 3 years, which is seller disclosures. For those of you that don't know, the number one cause of lawsuits is the alleged failure to disclose. Now, while we wanted to modernize this entire process, we recognized the particular need to improve the workflows and disclosures because the average claim can be $30,000 nationwide. What we did is we turned the forms like the TDS and the SPQ from a traditional line-by-line form filling experience into more of a TurboTax style guided workflow, which is going to make it a lot simpler and a lot easier for your clients to safely and efficiently complete their seller disclosures. What started as just being Glide for seller disclosures has now expanded. And as you may have seen or you may have heard from CAR, you can now use Glide on every single CAR standard form. There are over 275 standard forms in the CAR standard form library. And for every single one of those forms, you can use Glide to prepare, complete, and sign those forms using our eSignature tool. For your context, our brokerage edition came to be just because we had so many agents using Glide. We have over 60 local associations and MLS partners that are offering Glide as a member benefit to complete the TDS and the SPQ, and brokerages like Kendrick Realty and some of the other logos that you see here, they said, hey, that's great. We love that 10, 20, 30 of our agents are using Glide, but we want to make sure that we have a holistic approach to this. And we'd like to make it a brokerage-wide initiative. How do we do that? So we built in a lot of the basic controls so that you can manage your staff, you can create different rosters, add different offices with different levels of permission, and ultimately just make it easier from the top down as all of the different transactions are happening in your office. So all of your forms are going to be in one place. From a state, local, or brokerage level, you're going to have 3 different folders. One for CAR, one for your local association, and one for your brokerage. If you have an affiliate business agreement, or maybe you have a personal brokerage disclosure that you want your agents to be using, we can add those directly into Glide. We also have an integrated eSignature solution. We recognize that a lot of people are using DocuSign, so we'll continue to integrate with them. And it's a deep integration in the sense that you can start the envelope creation and you can manage that flow all within Glide. You can go through that workflow, send them out for signature, and if you need to void or resend for signature, you can do that all within Glide and you will not have to leave the system. We're also automatically going to place signature, initial, and date tabs directly on those forms for you. And right now, a lot of the forms and a lot of the work that you're doing is being prepared and completed in a silo before you share it with clients or someone on the other side, such as another agent on the other side of the deal. Now with Glide, you have a centralized dashboard. If I'm using Glide to prepare a listing agreement or complete my seller disclosures, you're doing everything all in one place. As a broker with a free brokerage account, you're going to be able to see all of the details from every transaction from all of your agents by having them all roll up into this one centralized account. Whether you have 10 agents, 50 agents, or 300 agents, all of their individual accounts will remain unaffected, but they can activate the brokerage version, which allows you as a broker to see them by team, by office, and by individual, and really get more visibility into everything that's going on with their transactions. As a team lead, I can see what my other agents are working on. As a TC, I can see the status of seller disclosures, so I can reach out to the agent if any further action is needed from that seller. So in general, we give you one centralized dashboard that all parties can log into to understand the status of a transaction and keep progress moving forward. You can also see on the right that we have an offer management tool where each listing agent is going to have a unique URL that can be shared out with buyer's agents for their buyers to be able to submit all of their offers all in one single dashboard. Instead of having to take offers from all different areas and putting them into an Excel spreadsheet, you can either accept them directly within Glide, or if you get one through email, you can always upload it to Glide as well. What we use is called OCR technology to read what those key terms are, and then we can create this point of comparison. And then from a compliance perspective, we know that as a brokerage, you're ultimately responsible and you're the one who is going to be focused on making sure that the deals that have gone through are both efficient and safe. With Glide, we've created a free brokerage version so you can set the standard of compliance by creating a set of transaction templates and also a clause library. I might have a standard listing template that I can make available to all of my agents, and I might make a second template called the HOA template or the Palm Springs template. You can have multiple templates, and that allows you to set out a standard so when an agent is creating a listing, say in Palm Springs, they can use the standard listing template and the Palm Springs template to apply multiple templates to the transaction to ensure that all of the correct documentation is available. That can be any of the standard CAR forms, or if you have any of your own forms or documents like a local area advisory that you want to upload from your computer, you can add them to the templates as well. And we also have a shared clause library. And we know that as a broker, you're often doing file reviews, and there are probably certain terms or areas in which the process, your agents are making the same mistakes over and over. And that exposes liabilities and also makes it really inefficient for you to have to tell that same agent every time, or maybe multiple agents, to make that verbiage active, say in the additional financing section in the RPA, for instance. So we give you the ability to create a library. So instead of having to tell them every time, they can go directly to that clause library and effectively copy and paste what they're seeing for your preferred language. It really gives you a way to create standardization from directly within Glide. And before we jump into our live demo, I do want to give you a little bit of information about Glide for Brokerages. On the left-hand side, you're going to see the Glide for Brokerages free base package. You can now just email brokerage@glide.com to claim your free brokerage account. And as long as you or your managing broker is CC'd onto the email, we can get this set up and running for you. I am going to cover all of the free base package options during our live demo today. You're also going to have the additional option to purchase account add-ons. That includes custom form uploads, brokerage branding, and also training and support packages. We're also working on some additional paid premium features for future releases, including a full checklist and file review system. So now that we've covered our introduction, we're now going to transition into the live environment for the remainder of the training. Now, the first thing I want to talk about in our live environment is setting up your broker dashboard. To do that, you're going to click on the top right-hand side on your profile dropdown. You're going to hover over administration, and you have three options that we're going to go through: members, groups, and offices. We're going to click on members first. And in this section, this is where you can invite any of the members that are part of your brokerage. You can click on the invite button on the top right, enter the full name of that individual, their email, and then select their role. We have two options for the role, either member or guest. An example of a guest would be maybe a transaction coordinator that works with one of your agents, but might not be part of your brokerage. Let's say in this case that Sarah Wall is one of my agents, and they're going to be a member for the role. Then I have the option to select an office. Now, if you created offices ahead of time, you can select from the dropdown, choose the office where this member is going to be located, and then select Invite on the right-hand side. That's going to send off that invitation to that individual, and their status is going to say Invite Pending. Now, once you've invited those members, if you did need to give someone an admin permission, for example, if we wanted to give Valerie the admin permissions level, that's going to give Valerie the ability to create offices, create groups, and invite members. To give someone an admin permission, you can click on the ellipsis on the right-hand side, then choose Make Admin. At any point in time in the future, if you did need to remove those admin permissions, you can always click on the ellipsis, choose Remove Admin Permission, and it'll put them back to their regular account type. In this case, Valerie is going to be put back to a member. When you're ready to create offices, click on Offices on the left-hand side. From here, we have one office already created. If we need to create a new office, you're going to click on the New Office button on the top right. From there, enter the office name. Let's say this is our Oakland office. Then you're going to enter the street address. Once you select the street address, then you can start adding office admins. Let's say in this example that Valerie is going to be our office admin for our Oakland location. Once I select Valerie, then I select Save. Anytime I create an office and I add an office admin, they're going to be able to view any of the transactions that are created by the members of that particular office. They will not be able to make any adjustments to those transactions unless they're invited by the agent, but they will be able to have full visibility into any of the transactions that are created by the members that are part of that office. Now, next, if you want to go down even smaller, we can go into groups. Maybe you have teams that work together. You can click on groups, and then you're going to be able to set up new groups from this page. We have one group already created. If we want to create a new group, I'll select New Group on the top right. From there, I would enter in the group name. Let's say it's going to be Springer Realty. Then you can add members that are going to be part of that particular group. Let's say maybe Valerie is going to be part of this group, and we're also going to add Sarah as part of this group as well. Once you have your members of the group selected, click Save on the right-hand side. Any members that are added to the same group will be able to see each other's transactions. However, they will not be able to make any changes to each other's transactions unless they're invited by that particular agent. Now that we've added our members, we've created our offices, we've created our groups, next we're going to create our transaction templates. To create a transaction template, click on your profile dropdown on the right-hand side and then choose Transaction Templates. From here, you can choose Create New Template on the top right. You're going to enter in your template title. I'm just going to say this is my sample purchase template. Then I'll select the transaction type. In this case, since I'm creating a purchase transaction template, I'll make sure that my transaction type is selected for purchase. That way, anytime I'm creating a transaction in the future, this transaction template is only going to be applicable when I'm creating purchase transactions. If I was creating a listing transaction in the future, I would not see this particular template in the drop-down list of options to choose from. Next, you're going to choose who you'd like to share this template with. You can either create it just for yourself, you can create it for specific offices or specific groups, and you can select those from your drop-down list, or you can just make it available to everyone within your brokerage. Once you have your options set, click Create Template on the bottom right. Now, once your template is created, now you can start adding any additional documents, any parties that are going to be part of this transaction template. Now you can click on the top right-hand side on Add Documents. You can upload directly from your computer, add from the form library, or pull directly from DocuSign. You can create different folders if you'd like different organization within this template. If you want to add documents directly to this individual folder, you can click on the paper with the plus sign. It's going to give you those same three options. And before you add any documents to this folder, you're going to have this button down at the bottom where you can click Add Documents. It's going to give you the same three options that you can choose from. Let's say, since this is my purchase transaction template, that I'd like to add my RPA. I can click Add from Library in this example, type in RPA at the top in the search, select the RPA from the list, and then choose Add Document. Now you can add as many documents as you want to this transaction template. I'm just doing one for the example today. After I've added my documents, next I can add any additional details or parties that are going to be part of this transaction template. Let's say in this example that I'd like to add my transaction coordinator that's going to be a part of all of my purchase transactions. I can click on Add Party. In this example, I'll select Buyer Team TC. Let's say that Valerie is going to be the transaction coordinator. I can select Valerie from my list of contacts, scroll down to the bottom, and then click Save. Now, anytime that one of the agents applies this purchase transaction template, Valerie is going to be automatically added as the transaction coordinator, and the RPA is automatically going to be uploaded into their documents section. You can click back to templates list, and from here, you can always hover over that template, hover over the ellipsis, those three dots, and click on it, and it's going to give you three options to choose from. Edit, where you can add or remove any documents or parties at any point in time. You can clone it, which is a great option. Maybe you have three similar templates that you need to create. You don't have to recreate every one manually every single time. You can just create one template, clone it, and then add or remove documents that are parties that are going to be needed for that additional template. You can also click Delete, select OK to make sure that you do want to permanently delete this transaction template, and it will be permanently deleted from Glide. Now, the great thing with our transaction templates is that anytime the documents are updated within CAR, they're going to be automatically updated within Glide's form library as well. And not only are they automatically updated within the form library, but they're going to be automatically updated within the transaction templates as well. The only place where those documents are not going to be automatically updated is within the transactions itself. That's because if you do have an agent that's halfway through filling out those documents, or maybe they're about to send them off for signature, they probably don't want those documents to be automatically replaced without their knowledge. So we are working on a notification system to let those agents know within the transaction itself when any of those documents are out of date. Now, lastly, we're going to go through what it looks like to create a clause manager. If I click up in the top right-hand side on that profile dropdown, and then I choose Clause Manager, from here, I can choose to create a new clause. Once I click on the button on the top, I can enter that clause title. We're just going to say this is our sample clause, and the title is going to be for your own information. What document is this going to be entered into? Where exactly in that document is this going to be placed? And then the description is going to be the exact wording that you want to add to that field within that document. Then you can choose who you're going to share it with, whether it's just going to be available for you, or you can make it available to everyone within the brokerage. Once you have all of your options set, click Create Clause on the bottom right. From here, once the clause is created, then you can hover over that clause and click on the ellipsis on the right-hand side, and you can edit at any point in time by adding or removing any wording, or you can delete it, select OK, and it's going to permanently delete it from Glide. Now, after we've gone through, we've set up our broker dashboard, we've created our transaction templates, we've created our clause manager. The next part in our training that we're going to go through is what it looks like for an agent to create a transaction, apply the transaction template that you've created, fill out a document, and insert a clause into the document that you've added. So at this time, I'm going to go back to my transactions dashboard. I'll click on the top left-hand side. I'm going to go in as an individual for my view. Right now, I just have one transaction created. Let's say I'm going to create a new transaction as an agent in this example. I'll click on New Transaction over on the right-hand side. It's first going to ask me who is the primary agent for this transaction. Now, in this example, I'm in this account as Oliver Lee. I'm going to be acting as the agent. I'll select myself as the agent and then click Continue on the bottom right. From there, it's going to ask for the property information. You have two options. You can search by the MLS down at the bottom. If you click on this tile, select the drop-down list and choose your MLS, and then you can enter the MLS number, click Continue on the right-hand side, and it's going to pull all that information from the MLS directly into Glide. You can also choose to enter an address manually. If I enter an address here, select my address, and then click Continue on the right-hand side. Next, it's going to ask, what type of transaction am I creating? In this case, let's say that we're creating a purchase transaction, and then it asks you for the status of the transaction. In this example, let's say it's pre-contract, and then here's the first place where I'm going to be able to apply that transaction template. I can select from the drop-down options of those templates that were already created for this particular transaction type. So for this example, if I choose my standard purchase transaction template and then click Continue, it's going to apply the documents and also the parties that were added to that template ahead of time. Next, we're going to be able to add any additional individuals that are part of the purchase team. Maybe you work with another agent. You can add another buyer agent here. You can add the broker's information. Notice how it pulled over my transaction coordinator once I applied that transaction template. I can add an additional team admin or TC here, and then click Continue on the bottom right. Next, you would add the buyer's information. I'll click on Add a Buyer in the middle of the screen. Let's say Miguel Estrada is the individual I've worked with before. They're going to be my buyer. If you need to at any point in time, you can choose Create New Contact to add a new buyer if needed. But let's select Miguel Estrada. I'm going to scroll to the bottom, click Save. Once Miguel is added, then I'll click Continue on the bottom right. From here, I'm going to need to add any additional details that are part of this transaction. I can view my parties. I can add additional parties from here. I can click on the drop down for the property information. And if I had used that MLS import, it's going to pre-fill all of this information for me. I can choose to upload a new image, and that's essentially going to act as my cover photo. And any information that's filled out in these sections is going to pre-fill in my forms going forward. I can adjust any information for the listing, purchase, or commission, and then click Continue at the bottom right. Once that transaction has been created, if there's any additional forms that are needed for this transaction, I'd be able to select Add Forms to Transaction. That would pull up that form library, and I can add any additional forms as the agent. However, as the broker, if you've already created and added all of those documents to that transaction template ahead of time, and your agent applies that transaction template, they can just bypass this step, and they can go right into their document section on the left. From here, to fill out one of those documents, they're going to click into it, and we're going to use the RPA as the example here today. Once I click into the RPA, it's going to take me right into that form where I have a few different options. I can fill out this document line by line by clicking into the fields. I can choose Start Filling on the top right-hand side, which is going to take us into a form wizard, and that's going to help me fill out this document section by section. Or on the left-hand side, we have what's called the form outline. This is going to outline the different sections within the document on the right. If I click, for example, into my financing terms, it's going to take me right to that section in the document. If I want to go into my first loan information, I click on the left. If I enter the information for the amount, let's say it's going to be $600,000. Notice that there's a two-way sync. So anything I add on the left is going to show up in the form on the right-hand side. Anything I add on the right is going to show up in my outline on the left. Now, if I want to click in and insert a clause, I can choose to click into any of these fields. I can type information, or I can hover over the ellipsis on the right-hand side, those three dots, and choose Insert Clause. Once I do, I can choose from the list of clauses that have already been created by the brokerage. The next example, let's add in the RPA financing terms by selecting the dial on the left and then choosing Insert down on the bottom right. Now it's going to add that exact wording that was chosen by the broker to be inserted into this particular part of the form. Once I'm done filling out this form, I can choose Save and Close on the top left. Now, if at any point in time the agent had forgot to apply the transaction template initially, when they're in their Documents section, they can always click on the ellipsis on the top right-hand side and then choose Apply Templates. That's going to allow them to choose from the dropdown with the same list of options that are applicable, in this case, to a purchase transaction. They can select it, select OK, and it would add those documents to their Documents section. So a lot of information that we've covered so far today. We're now going to be jumping back into our slide deck with a couple more slides to wrap up our training for the day. So for today's training, we first looked at our Glide platform overview. We next went in to show you how to create the broker dashboard, invite your members, create your groups, create your offices. We showed you how to give admin permissions to a user to make sure that they can also invite members, create groups, and create offices. Then we went through and showed you how you can create transaction templates, how to create clauses within your clause manager, and then we ran through an example of what it looks like for an agent to use your transaction templates and insert a clause into a document when they're filling it out. If you do have any additional questions, we have a great help center available for you. That's going to be help.glide.com. A lot of articles with step-by-step instructions, topic-based training videos, little 2 to 5 minute videos. And we also have lists of FAQs that are commonly asked in our webinar trainings. If you do have any additional questions, you can always reach out to our support team by emailing support@glide.com.